What's up, guys? Eric here with driverlineup.com, world's okayest steering wheel holder, and Jenna is with us as well. We have one hell of a story of a situation we just went through. Unbelievable situation that we just went through. And you know, usually you don't want to talk about incidents on YouTube, but this is one where it's completely safe to do so, and you'll understand why by the end of the story. But before we jump into that, one of my fears, if you're thinking about coming into trucking, I don't know if it's healthy to have a fear about this, but maybe it is. Maybe it is because it makes you more cautious at all times. But of course, with preventable accidents, you know, you have substantial control over that situation, right? And probably most accidents are preventable. Even rollovers, could be anything from maintaining a proper speed. If you're too close and an accident happens in front of you and you have to roll to avoid it, well, were you too close? How fast were you going? Did you take a curve too fast? All that stuff, you know, we both have excellent safety records, because we're both very cautious, always mindful, doing the best we can to prevent and be defensive drivers, you know. But it's the unpreventable that always freaks me out. When you're in a vehicle this big, there's scenarios that could pop up that you just don't want to be put into. And we were very, very fortunate today in a situation where I would say catastrophe was avoided. So we're going to talk about that here in just a second. So anyway, buckle up. It's a little bit of a ride. We'll be right back with you. Okay, so we just left the scene of an accident, did not flee the scene of an accident, and are just now kind of getting our grounding would be the
interesting choice of words.
proper word for it. And you know, in an unpreventable situation, it never is going to happen at a convenient time. It's always an inconvenient time. Although I will say it probably happened at, it's not a good time, but one of the best times, I guess, that it could happen, because we had just finished getting unloaded at a receiver, and we're not under dispatch, so we have an empty trailer, and we were coming to park for the day. We are in Minnesota, so we were coming to park for the day. And I had just gotten on an interstate. Jenna had just woken up. And you're just driving along like nothing, like, you know, like everything's fine. I had snuck into our receiver before rush hour in this particular city, which I was really happy about. And because we were on that side of the city, we didn't really have to deal with rush hours. And we got unloaded in like 10 minutes. Which was crazy, and we got unloaded early. We got unloaded early and in 10 minutes.
Yeah, they were actually like, "Oh yeah, you guys are early. This makes our life so much easier." And we're like,
yeah.
Sweet.
So, get on the road, headed down to this truck stop to kind of chill out for the day. We had a monster week last week, just monster. So it. You know, it's kind of, we're just going to go take a breather, chill out. You guys who subscribe to us a long time, you know the drill. We run really hard 4 days, and then we
Chill.
Pause. So then Jenna's like cracking open a can of coffee. Like, her day is just getting started. And I noticed this bridge was under construction, but I didn't really think anything about it. I mean, you go under bridges that are under construction all the time, you know. it's on an interstate, so it's not like it's going to have height issues or anything like that.
The only thing relevant about that particular bridge being under construction, like the only thing that would be relevant to us is if we had needed to like exit there, because the exits to get onto that bridge were closed.
Or
like
if there were any signs that said move to X lane because of,
There's no traffic pattern changes, there's no lane closures there, there's nothing affecting...
That exit was closed.
That's what I was saying.
But yeah, there was no indication for you to have any concern, We pass under bridges like that all the time. All of you do. You drive a truck, you pass under bridges like that all the time. So we get under this bridge, and before I describe what I saw in the mirror, this sound that hit like this side upper somewhere on the truck. I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, how would you...
So it sounded like an explosion of electricity, like
that's
it
okay.
sounded,
She's giving away the... I'm talking about just the impact.
It sounded like a bomb, but like electricity, because like the CB even like static loud.
It was weird, man. I didn't hear the electricity at first. I heard
like very weird science, like...
Yeah, I didn't hear I heard what I thought was like in that instant, in that split second, I'm like, did we just hit the bridge?
Well, yeah, because it was a very powerful.
Like, not did we?
Sound, but,
not did we hit the bridge, but was there something hanging down due to the construction? Like I didn't think we hit the bridge, but like that we hit something.
Well, you'd know that if you hit a bridge because of the sudden stop.
Well, I'm just saying, like, in that split second, you don't know. Like, I felt like there was, like, maybe some scaffolding or wood or something that had, come falling down or something. And there was almost like a tiny bit of resistance in the truck, too. Just a tiny bit of resistance in the truck. And then after that, and so in this split second of time, you're trying to figure out what the hell happened. Get on the brakes, not too hard, but get on the brakes. But it was just so confusing. I wasn't going that fast because I was only just getting up to speed, because I had just gotten on this interstate from another. That one was not an interstate. It was like a big 4-lane, but not an interstate. So I had just got onto this interstate, so I hadn't reached speed yet. So fortunately, I was not like going really fast or anything. But as my brain's trying to process, like come up with like what happened, you're going into action, trying to make sure you have control of the truck, slow it down. Out of this mirror on the left, I see this like cloud of lightning that's probably like 5 or 6 feet in diameter, like a ball of lightning, right next to the truck right here. And then I can kind of see something whipping and hitting other vehicles. So, at that point, it had kind of become clear that we hit a power line. It wasn't clear when we heard it and felt it hit the truck.
Hit by a power line.
Yeah, we got hit by a power line. But it became pretty clear, like, as this other chaos and madness is happening off to the left. So we immediately...
Sadly, I didn't get to see the lightning.
Yeah, she didn't. It was terrifying. Like, it was... And the sound, you guys. The sound was... I can't even, like...
I think one of the things with the sound that made it the trippiest is that, number one, it sounded like we hit a pterodactyl with the top of the truck. But then add the CB picking up like electricity at the CB, amplifying whatever kind of electrical sound that was.
Yeah, there was so much voltage in the air, that you could smell it. And when I talked to the safety department, they're like, "Oh yeah, that's what you're smelling." is just electricity. I mean, there's so much voltage. This thing sounded like, I mean, I can't even describe out of the. And the scary thing is, like, my window is actually halfway down too. So the voltage was coming off the end of this broken power line that's whipping in the air to the left of the truck. So, like, my window's halfway down, you know. So
I don't know. Electrical engineers may correct us, but we're just explaining what it seemed like to us.
Well, no, I was seeing the end of that, and I know it had been ripped in two because they were able to pull it across the interstate because it shut down the other side of the interstate.
4 lanes, or on each side.
4 lanes on each side, yeah. But just the sound of that much power and knowing that it was whipping right there outside the window, you know, made me realize, like, how much worse it could have been, you know. And we were told that if we were 1 lane over, we would have taken it to the windshield, and who knows what could happen, you know. So anyway, what the conclusion was, I mean, it's still somewhat being investigated. There's a case and everything, but the trooper told me, like, what was his name? Anyway, the trooper, one of the 2 troopers that we talked with, told me that due to the construction that was occurring, they had these temporary power lines on both sides of the interstate up by the bridge, and the ground was wet, so one of them started to lean forward right at the time we were coming through there, or lean backwards or something, and it caused so much tension that the power line started to come out of that pole, and we just took it, you know, as the whole infrastructure was falling apart. That's when we were going under there, you know. So it was, and it's, I mean, this is no joke, like a serious power line. It's not like just some sort of little, you know, standard, they're running a power saw off of it. And I'm talking like a legit, you know,
that big around.
Yeah, like a legit power line. So terrifying, so terrifying. And I'll say that the situation was chaotic because in the mirror, and we had gotten past the on-ramp and pulled over. Fortunately, that on-ramp was closed because of that construction, so there wasn't like crazy traffic coming on. And there was a wide enough shoulder where we literally had like 10, 15 feet between the side of the truck and the active lane. And all the vehicles that were able to get through were moving over. So it could have been so much worse if there was like a cinder block wall or something there, you know. But when we got out of the truck, well, Jenna immediately called 911. And
yeah, because immediately the concern is live electrical on the highway.
Yes, yeah.
Because you see other cars pulling off, and I'm like, oh my god.
And we didn't know if someone was injured back there. And the traffic that the pileup that happened so fast, not pileup in terms of accident, but just the jam of traffic that happened so fast, and everybody's trying to move over to the left lanes, to the hammer lane, to get past all the chaos, and they're flooding out next to me. The agenda was not to run back there. The agenda was call 911, you know. And the agenda for me was to get out of the truck and make sure nothing was on fire.
Because it did smell like something was on
Yeah,
fire.
I mean, there was the smell of hot electricity, like just hot in the air. So yeah, Jenna called 911. I immediately got out and started just making sure there's no smoke or no, you know, making sure the truck was not going to just combust and go up in flames. So once we kind of got that taken care of, I looked back to make sure to see if there was any signs that someone would be injured or anything like that. And there were, I don't know, 3 or 4 other vehicles that had taken a hit from this cable, but they had all pulled into the shoulder. So, you know, it's pretty obvious that it was just like damage to vehicles. Nothing was totaled. No vehicles had contacted any other vehicles. No vehicles had contacted our truck. And then we called safety and, you know, went through all the protocols and everything. But talk about lucky. There is like the most minuscule damage to the trailer. Like it's not even.
There's like on the truck, the only thing on the truck is like it's got like grease marks or like rubber.
Yeah, part of the line
right
came around and slapped the side of the, not the part that was shooting out the voltage, but just a part of the black line slapped the side of the cab, the sleeper, and it actually left grease, a line of grease on the side of the sleeper.
Nothing Blue Beacon can't take care of.
Yeah, but where it got caught on the trailer up at the top, it did do very, very minimal. You know, there's that kind of lip up there above the reefer unit, and on the left corner,
just kind of curled it up a little bit, like.
Yeah, so we were very, very, very fortunate. I was not cited. We got a case number and everything. You definitely, you know, if you get into a situation like that, of course, safety and claims and everything, they're going to walk you through all this. If you have a good company like Prime. See, that's one of the advantages of driving for a mega carrier, is that you do have so much of that support infrastructure, you know, where they're on the phone saying, you need to take these steps, because you never know what type of litigation a consumer may, you know, we're commercial truck drivers. Now, in this case, the troopers obviously know that it was the construction, you know, city or whoever. I asked him if it was city or council or county, or, you know, he said he was still going up to talk to their crew and get all their information as a part of his investigation. But in this instance, it's so blatantly obvious that, you know, the construction, that operation is at fault. But still, you want to have case numbers, you want to have report information, all that stuff, just in case someone tries to say, my neck hurts, you know.
Well, and the other part is don't be afraid to do it right. A lot of people, as silly as it is, are afraid to call safety. They don't realize safety is there to protect you.
Yes.
So, you know, you see it all the time on like different trucking forums and stuff like that, where people are asking for advice and they get, as Eric and I like to call it, shitty advice from $1 by the yahoos on the internet, where people will say, oh, well, if I got out and saw no damage, I'm good to roll. No, you were involved. Report it.
It is an incident.
So
it's the same with a deer that I hit, or that hit me. You know, I got some comments of, well, if it didn't do any damage, then why did you report it? Well, because it's an incident.
Because you don't know if you'll find damage later.
Yeah, like, what if you find damage later? What if the deer I couldn't see because it was dark was still on the road, and someone else hits it and says, I watched this truck just roll off and leave it right there in the road? You never know. You know, you never know. When you're in a commercial vehicle, you need to go through all the proper steps in any incident and make sure that there's a trail and that you're covering your butt. You know, this is a unpreventable incident, and there's no fault or anything.
It's just so much less hassle to do it the right way the first time than to try to explain your actions if you did it the wrong way and didn't report it.
Yeah, so we know another driver. I'm not going to say his situation or his name,
from a different company that is not necessarily as driver oriented as Prime.
Well, yeah, he took a power cable to the windshield.
It was
did he toll? Was it total?
Yeah. So basically, what happened to this driver, and he should have got kudos for this situation. Very, very similar. The only thing different to his situation is there was no bridge. So he's driving along, and like even worse, he was in training. He's driving along, and he sees the power pole, and the power pole just, you know, looks a little bit, it looks like it's starting to move to him. And he was in the, I want to say it was was 3-lane highway, and he was in the middle lane. But he sees what looks like to him that the pole is slowly moving. So he starts braking. And the ground was like, you know, misty, like the highway's like got like a fine, you know, amount of moisture on it. So it's been raining a lot. So that pole, that temporary pole, same thing. It just, you know, the ground was too saturated and it just started to come down. But he hadn't noticed the power line itself moving first. He just noticed the pole on the side of the highway moving. So he was able to bring the truck down to, I think it was like something like 25 miles an hour. And the pole hit like right here, the C post, or A post or whatever, across the windshield, and it had cut into the frame of the truck. Like it actually cut into the post about 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch. And they ended up totaling that truck because of like the frame damage or whatever. But luckily for him, he was able to stop it real quick, you know, and avoid a lot of damage or slow it down.
Yeah, so I mean, you know, it's crazy that we know someone who's taken a power line to the windshield, to the face, and we've now taken a power line. So, you know, I mean, on one hand, you definitely always, especially when you see like low power lines ahead or above, you know, you'll see that, especially where there's construction power lines overhead. You definitely want to keep an eye out and watch for that stuff, but sometimes the thing that's freaky is that this power line was on the other side of the bridge, meaning the where we were approaching the bridge, because it hadn't started coming down yet. I mean, it was just absolute perfect timing, not in our favor, that this thing,
but also in our favor because it could have been worse.
If it had come down a lot sooner, maybe we would have taken it to the windshield. If it came down later, maybe someone else would have had a bad situation and gotten injured or worse, you know. So I guess it's the best case scenario. But my point is, there's no way. Like we couldn't even see. I wouldn't even be able to say that power line looks like it might be a little bit low, because there was a bridge between us and that line. You know, it just came down as we were going underneath the bridge. So it's just
freaky things, man.
Crazy, freaky. I mean, it was like so bizarre. That sound and that smell right outside the window, it's just I can't believe that happened. I mean, it happened, I just can't believe it happened. So, and not only that, we get to this truck stop, and literally as I parked the truck, damn airline, the red airline, has decided to start to bubble, you know, right at the glad hand. So it's not, I can't just replace the glad hand, it's actually which we had that happen before too. I will say that those lines lasted they've been the life of this truck. So for over a year, lines have been really good to us.
It lasted a lot longer than the lines on the Freightliner.
Yeah, it just sucks that we're turning this truck in and now we gotta go get it. I'm just gonna get a red line because I'm not gonna go buy a whole new umbilical right before turning this truck in. Someone will just have to have, whoever gets this truck will have sort of not a pretty umbilical. Hey, it's not my problem.
It's not gonna not be pretty because I'm just gonna unwrap it and rewrap it. Yeah. Like it's got like the black cord. It's not gonna look ghetto. It's just gonna be one new, clean, shiny line, and the other one's not.
Yeah. So there's that too. So it just sucks. You get this day of rest and you hit by a power line, active live power line, and then you have to replace an airline as well. But again, I guess, you know, I'm glad that it's happening now while we're empty and have all day than to happen while we're loaded and, you know, cause all kinds of problems. So anyway, good times, guys. as so many people say, that's trucking, unfortunately. But definitely be safe. Make good decisions, and as always, drive to thrive. We'll talk to you soon, guys.